Lesson 4: News Writing Structures and Formats. Objectives: understand how to structure news stories by placing the most important information first for quick readability. Learn to combine hard news with storytelling by blending key facts and a narrative flow. Explore how to present information in a logical step-by-step order, building the story layer by layer. Hi everyone. Today we are diving into three essential formats in news writing: inverted pyramid, hourglass, and stacked format. These aren't just fancy terms, they are powerful tools that shape how we tell stories and deliver information effectively. Think of them as different blueprints for structuring your news articles depending on what you want to highlight. The inverted pyramid focuses on positioning facts. The hourglass blends hard news with storytelling, and the stacked format builds logically step by step. By the end of this session, you will know what and how to use each of these styles like a pro. First, we have the inverted pyramid, the classic style for news writing. Picture a triangle flipped upside down. At the top, you start with the most important information: the who, what, when, where, why, and how. For example, if a major flood affects a city, your first sentence might say, "A flood displaced 10,000 residents in Hyderabad. Heavy rains overwhelmed local people." From there, you provide supporting details and background in describing order of importance. Why this format? It ensures readers get the main points upfront. Even if they don't finish the article, it's perfect for breaking news or even space is tight. Earlier, we discussed that the basic shape of a news story, that is the inverted pyramid. This means that the most newsworthy key point comes first in the story in intro. This is followed by the other key points in descending order of newsworthiness, so that the main detail comes first and the minor details comes last. Here in the picture, you can see how inverted pyramid is. This is a good basic pattern and works well for example news stories. Check the image on screen. This shape of the news story with a broad top and a narrow base is in the weight of the news itself. The first paragraph of the story tells the biggest news and how the story begins to taper down towards the minor details. Remember, the first paragraph, which is called the intro, contains the most newsworthy part of the story. The newest, most unusual, most interesting, and most significant, told clearly and simply. This is followed by a full explanation and all the details. The most newsworthy part of the story will be written nearest to the top of the story. We have already seen an alternative structure telling the story in chronological order, that is, the order in which things happened, when the first to the most recent. As you can see in the image, this is an especially useful way of telling stories about sequences of events rather than single event. We have picture this news story structure as in the diagram on screen. Let's understand this type of writing with an example. When the Minister of Transport opens a new bridge, there is one simple event to report. This story can be reported as a simple inverted pyramid. However, when a group of angry landowners break up the ceremony, fight with the police who are on duty and kidnap the minister, this is better to tell the story as in inverted pyramid intro, followed by telling of story in chronological order. We shall tell the reader or listener at the beginning what the news is going to be in the story and then tell the story as it happens. There's still one more story structure to discuss. However, it is an important one. This is one which is widely used to tell complex stories. It is one which we will be need to master. When a story has a number of different parts to it, it is better to tell the story one part at one time than to jump backward and forward between the different parts. This means that you go to the end of the one part, telling the minor details about that before moving on to the major details of the next part. The story structure is a pyramid of pyramids, in which each part of the story is told in a mini inverted pyramid of its own. This sequence of these mini pyramids will depend upon the newsworthiness of each one. The most newsworthy part of the story will come first, followed by the other parts in decreasing order of importance. See the example diagram which explains this style. Just as you have to rank key points in their order of newsworthiness in order to write the intro, so you have to rank these mini pyramids into their order of worthiness in order to write a complex story. The story will start with an intro followed by 2 or 3 paragraphs written as though the story was going to be a simple inverted pyramid. In other words, you start by telling the most important key points in their order of importance. After the few paragraphs, you will have introduced the most important part of the story. You can now concentrate on the first part of the story, told in its own mini pyramid. When you have finished that, you can move on to the next part, and so on until you have told the whole story. Observe in the diagram how each mini pyramid is smaller than the previous one. This story is still basically structured like a pyramid, going from the most important to the least important. How many mini pyramids are there will depend upon the story. There may be one or two, perhaps a minister announcement of a new policy followed by an opponent's criticism on it. In some cases, there may be 3, 4, or 5 mini pyramids. If there are many parts to the story, the important thing is for you to understand the story clearly and then to tell it clearly. If you are a journalist or aspiring writer, mastering this format can transform your storytelling. The Hourglass combined the best of two worlds, the immediacy of the inverted pyramid and the narrative depth of the storytelling. Let's unpack this format step by step, explore its elements, and look at real world examples to see how it works in action. What is the hourglass structure? Let's understand this. Imagine an hourglass shown in the sample picture, wide at the top, narrow in the middle, and wide again at the bottom. This structure mirrors that shape. Top section presents the hard news or a key facts, just like the inverted pyramid. Middle section narrows into a detailed narrative, often chronological, to provide depth and human interest. Coming to the bottom section, concludes with broader implications, future developments, or a reflective ending. The hourglass is versatile and engaging, balancing the need for clarity with the power of storytelling. It's particularly effective for feature stories, in depth stories, or investigative pieces. The top starts with a crucial facts. The hourglass begins with a bang, just like the inverted pyramid. Readers are given the essential information upfront: the who, what, when, where, why, and how. For example, let's say you are reporting on a wildfire. A massive wildfire swept through the forest on Monday, destroying over 5,000 acres, displacing hundreds of families, and promoting statewide emergency declaration. Second is the middle, shift to the narrative. Once the key facts are laid out, the story narrows into a narrative arc. This is where the storytelling magic happens. You might introduce characters, describe events chronologically, or explore the emotional impact of the event. Continuing with the wildfire example, you could pivot to a specific story. Among those affected was the Jai family, who watched helplessly as flames consumed their home. "We barely escaped with our lives," said Sarita, holding her two young children close. The family spent the night in a crowded shelter, unsure of what tomorrow would bring. This section humanizes the news, allowing readers to connect on an emotional level. You are not just reporting facts, you are telling a story. Coming to the third part, that is the bottom, broaden the view. The final section widens out again, much like the base of the hourglass. It might explore what happens next, provide expert analysis, or reflect on the broader implications of the event. For the wildfire story, you could conclude with a look at recovery efforts or policy changes. As example, as firefighters continue to battle the flames, state officials are already discussing new strategies for wildfire prevention. Governor announced plans to allocate $20 million towards forest management and community preparedness program. This ending leaves the readers with a sense of closure while pointing to future development. Now, let's understand why we use the hourglass structure. The hourglass format offers several advantages. One, balances hard news and storytelling. It satisfies readers who want facts quickly while engaging those who crave depth. Second, increases emotional impact. By incorporating human interest elements, it connects with readers on a personal level. Third, improves readability. The clear structure makes complex stories easier to follow. And fourth, encourages deeper engagement. Readers are more likely to stick with a story that offers both clarity and narrative intrigue. When to use hourglass structure? This structure isn't ideal for every story. Remember, it works best when you have a breaking news event with a significant human interest angle. You want to explore the chronological progress of an event. The story has a broader implication or lessons to unpack. For instance, it's perfect for stories about natural disaster, legal cases, or investigative reports. Now we will see some examples of hourglass in action. The first case is court case. Top sections. The Supreme Court today ruled in favor of environmental activists in landmark case against big oil, making a major victory for climate advocacy. That is the intro. Now, middle section. The case began 3 years ago when a group of residents filed a lawsuit against the company alleging illegal dumping of toxic waste. Among the plaintiffs was Maria Lopza, a mother of two who tested about her family's health struggles after drinking contaminated water. Coming to the bottom section, where legal experts predict this ruling will set a precedent for future environment lawsuits, potentially reshaping corporate accountability in the energy section. Now, looking at the challenges of this hourglass structure. While powerful, the hourglass format has its challenges also. It requires strong narratives. The middle section relies on compelling storytelling, which can be difficult to craft. And also, it's time consuming. Developing both factual and narrative elements takes time and efforts. At the same time, risk of losing readers. If narrative isn't engaging, readers might lose interest before reading the conclusion. To overcome these challenges, focus on vivid details, authentic voices, and a clear connection between the narrative and the broader implications. A versatile structure that organizes information by topics or themes rather than a chronological timeline. Whether you are reporting on a complex event or tackling an in depth feature, the stocked format helps you deliver clarity and focus. Let's understand what is the stacked format. Imagine stacking blocks, each representing a distinct theme or a topic. In the stacked format, a story is divided into self contained sections, each covering a specific aspect of the subject. Unlike the inverted pyramid or the hourglass, which follow a hierarchical or narrative arc, the stacked format is non linear. For instance, in reporting a flood, you might organize the story into three blocks. First is the damager, what was destroyed or affected. And the second is the response efforts, how our authorities or communities addressing the situation. Finally, future plans. What measures are being proposed to prevent such disasters? Each block stands independently but collectively contributes to the comprehensive understanding of the event. Now, we will see why to use this stacked format. The structure is ideal for stories that require a deep dive into specific areas. Here is why it works. First is clarity. Breaking the story into topics ensures readers can digest one aspect at one time. Then, focus. It allows the writers to explore each theme in detail without distractions. Third is flexibility. Sections can be rearranged based on priority or interest. Then, depth. This format accommodates in depth reporting, making it suitable for investigative pieces, features, or complex issues. Now, we will understand this style by breaking down the stacked format. The first thing is the introductory block, setting the scene. Every stacked story begins with a broad introduction that gives readers an overview of the subject. This is why it matters sections setting the context for the subsequent blocks. Thematic blocks, exploring key topics. Each subsequent section focuses on a single theme or a topic. Let's continue with the flood example to illustrate how you might structure these blocks. So, first block, the damage. This section focuses on the immediate impact of the flood. Homes and infrastructure destroyed, human stories of loss of survival, economic repercussions such as the cost of rebuilding. Second block, response efforts. Here the focus shifts to the how authorities and communities are responding. Emergency services and rescue operations. Support from local organizations or international aid. Challenges faced such as resources shortage or logistical hurdles. Third block is about future plan. This block looks forward, examining proposed measures to address the root cause or prevent recurrence. Government policies for disaster management, technological solutions like flood forecasting systems, community preparedness programs. We will now look into the strengths of the stacked format. The first is comprehensive coverage. One of the key strengths of this approach is its ability to provide a thorough exploration of the subject. By focusing on specific themes, the story delves into the every significant angle, leaving no aspect unexamined. This ensures that the audience gain a complete understanding of the topic, whether it is a complex issue, a breaking news event, or an in depth feature. Such comprehensive coverage builds credibility as it demonstrates that the content creator has taken the time to address all the relevant dimensions of the story. Second is reader friendly presentation. Organizing content into clear, manageable blocks enhance readability. Instead of the overwhelming the audience with dense text, dividing information into sections allows for easier navigation. Readers can quickly locate and absorb key points, making the content more engaging and memorable. adaptability across formats. This structure works seamlessly across various media formats. Whether the story is published in print, shaped online, or adopted for broadcast, the format's versatility ensures its effectiveness. It accommodates different audience preferences and enhances reach. Then comes logical structure with flexibility. The modular nature of this approach allows sections to be reordered to place key message or align with audience interests. This flexibility ensures that the story remains relevant and impactful, catering to the goals of the diverse content strategies. Now we will see what are the challenges of the stacked format. Despite its strength, the stacked format has limitations. What are those? The first is risk of fragmentation. Poor transition between blocks can make the story feel disjointed. Time intensity requires thorough research and careful organization, and potential redundancy. If themes overlap, the story might feel repetitive. To overcome these challenges, focus on seamless transitions and ensure each block has a distinct focus. Let's see when to use stacked formats. This format works best for in depth reports, such as investigative reporting into a corruption or climate change, feature stories, whether multiple perspective or aspects needed explanation, or multifaceted events like natural disaster, political crisis, or large scale social movements. For instance, in a report on climate change, you could structure it as the cause, industrial emission or deforestation. The effect, melting ice caps or extreme weather conditions. Third, solutions like renewable energies policy changes. How inverted pyramid is ideal for breaking news with concise update focusing on immediacy, whereas Hourglass blends hard news with storytelling following a chronological narrative. Stacked formats best for thematic reporting, diving into details and connecting multiple angles. For example, stacked format in journalism, investigating corporate scandals. Overview of allegations against a major company. In that, block 1 details of the alleged misconduct. Block 2 response from stakeholders, employees, regulators. And then block 3 should be broader implications of the industry. Another example we can see lies coverage of musical fest. In the introduction, you'll write highlights of the event, block 1 performances of the artists, and block 2 audience experiences and feedback, block 3 economic impact of the host city. Tips for writing in the stocked format. Plan ahead. Outline your blocks before writing to ensure logical flow. Transition smoothly. Use clear transitions to connect sections. Focus each block. Avoid overlapping details to maintain clarity. Engage with details. Use code stand data to enrich each theme. The power of the stacked format. The stacked format is a dynamic tool in the journalism, offering a structured yet flexible way to tackle complex stories. By breaking information into clear thematic blocks, it allows you depth, focus, and reader engagement. Whether you are reporting on a logical crisis, exploring a global issue, or crafting an investigative piece, the stacked format ensures your story resonates with clarity impact. Start stacking your blocks today and watch your storytelling elevate to new heights. News writing is a skillful blend of precision, structure, and storytelling. Among the many formats available, the inverted pyramid, hourglass, and the stacked format stand out as essential tools for journalists, each suited to different types of stories and the audience needed. Inverted pyramid, simplicity and efficiency. The inverted pyramid remains the gold standard for breaking news. Its strength lies in its conciseness and adaptability across platforms, especially for digital or mobile readers. However, it can sometimes lack depth or emotional engagement as its linear approach may not fully capture the human aspect of the story. Whereas Hourglass, the best of both worlds. The Hourglass format bridges the gap between the hard news and compelling storytelling. Starts with crucial facts in an inverted pyramid style. It transitions into a chronological narrative. This middle section adds human interest or deeper context, creating an emotional connection with readers. Then comes the stacked format, depth and thematic organization. The stacked format, by organizing content into thematic blocks, excels in tackling multi-dimensional stories. Each section focuses on the specific aspects such as the cause, impact, future, outlook of an event. This format works particularly well for investigative journalism, in depth reports, or multifaceted topics like climate change, political reforms, or economic crisis. Its strength lies in clarity and depth, allowing for a nuanced explanation of every angle. However, it requires careful planning to ensure smooth transition and avoid redundancy. Poor execution may leave readers feel disconnected from the story. The choice between these formats depends on the story type and the audience. Breaking news demands the inverted pyramid, while feature articles or long form narratives benefits from the hourglass. For complex or investigative pieces, the stacked format offers the most clarity and depth. Modern journalism often blends these structures to cater to diverse readers' preferences, ensuring both immediacy and engagement. Mastering these formats allows journalists to adapt their storytelling to different contexts, making their work both impactful and reader friendly. Whether delivering urgent updates or unpacking intricate narratives, these structures ensure stories resonate, inform, and inspire. Together, they form the cornerstone of effective news writing. That's all for this class. Let's meet in next lesson. Thank you for watching.